little bit of the pre-blow-in party going on. And all the parts assembled, laid out. In the corner here, we're already doing a little bit of pre-autopsy work on the snowblower. I think that's going to be it until tomorrow, pretty much here.
You're all somewhat familiar with metric volts. All right, mostly cuss metric volts because you don't understand.
10 mil.
This girl here is made with Whitworth bolts. Manufactured in England with Whitworth bolts.
And that's like in between sizes.
No, it's like whatever the hell.
We'll get into that in a minute. We had the pocket computers out yesterday.
All right, so as the lovely Brian Jennings will say, well, you take a wrench and you see whatever you can get fit. All right, so this thing is made up with Whitworth bolts originally. However, it ended up in Iowa where they did not have Whitworth bolts and didn't care about a Whitworth bolt. And so they needed to put something together. So this has US bolts, it has symmetric bolts, and it has Whitworth bolts. And over the years, it has a whole combination of that. Plus, guys are using adjustable to brush apart. And so, yeah, you'll see all of that here. That's why I'm kind of keeping an eye on, because I know which bolts go where and which ones were rethreaded, which ones John rethreaded on me.
And what do you need us to put together for if you know where the bolts go?
He wants somebody to watch him, okay?
Somebody to watch it. This will be, I'm pretty damn sure I can tell you this will be the only imperial you'll ever see go together. So it has a unique way of going together. I hope it goes together. We have obviously not had it running. We got it in parts. Just to give you a 3-second history of this machine, a guy in Iowa posted this on Facebook. Said he had it in the shed for 40 years. Does anybody know anything about it? And of course, we all responded like an imperial in the States. For those of you who are not familiar with an imperial is basically an English Model D that has reverse. Came out in 1955, right at the end of the Model D run, which we think ran until 56 or 57. And so this was really an attempt to save the concept, which obviously failed. Okay, but some of them were sent back over to the States. So we know of 2 of them. A guy in Michigan has one, and this one. And so the guy in Iowa, Jason Ehlers, took this and started restoring it. And in my mind, ended up running out of patience with the Whitworth bolts. Where the hell would he get a Whitworth set of wrenches or bolts in Iowa? And so he ran out of patience. Phil Miller and the Glenn Murdoch, rest his soul, ran out to Iowa to pick it up and to bring it to a Moen, one of those big tractor hauling trips. And it ended up at Glenn's in pieces because Phil said the color wasn't right. And you'll see they started changing the color. So this was beautiful red paint, but wrong color. So it got sanded down. Glenn took it all apart, started refinishing it, had a bad accident, passed. Phil took all of the parts back to his place, made a trade with John for another tractor. You guys are getting the idea? So John got this load of parts. I came up with the idea, let's put it together at the blow-in, because nobody's ever seen it. John says, that sounds fine, at least I know we'll get it together. And it has to run or we'll not eat. Did I mention we do not eat until this runs? Did I mention that? No.
I think you hinted at it.
I suggested it now. So here it is today, and after we get done, it's going to come apart again to go get painted, because we didn't want, obviously, fresh paint to get beat around putting it together. So it's going to come back apart next week, right, John? It'll probably go at John's shed, and it'll sit there for 10 or 15 years, and his wife will do something with it. Anyhow, it's going to go to the paint shop after this in some process, and then get painted, and then appear at future moments. It'll be in the parade of power. So, John, are you ready? Have I said enough? Bob, you want to say a few words? You happy for now?
Hey, okay for now, bud.
Do you want to tell them about the Whitworth too?
Yes, yes, so you go ahead.
So yesterday we were Googling Whitworth because none of us knew what it was.
We actually thought it was made up, by the way.
Yeah, we thought it was an old wives' tale when people didn't know what thread strings were. It's an English thread, yeah. But we took the bolt out. It looks like a regular 3/8 coarse thread bolt. You can hold a 3/8 bolt against it, and you can thread it in about halfway, and it looks like it matches perfect. You go the whole length, and it's off a hair. So we Googled it. The first thing is that Rich got these Whitworth wrenches, and the actual size of the wrench to fit this bolt is a 5/16 wrench. Now it looks like a 9/16, but it's a 5/16. Turns out what they do is that they label the bolts by the width of the thread area, not by the width of the head.
Oh, my.
So yeah, here's that regular 1/2-inch bolt, and you can, you know, a 3/8
3/8.
bolt. And here it fits perfect, but if I go the whole length, it's just off a hair. And what they said is that the actual pitch of the threads, the SAE bolt, I believe, was 55 degrees, and the Whitworth was 60 degrees. So it might have the same thread per inch, but it's just a hair off on
They could throw
The-
extra thread in, put it on.
yeah, something like that, but it's just, it's strange, and, you know, but that was not gonna scare us though, huh?
No.
We got the special
Rich is a
spanners.
stickler for original bolts,
Which is a pain.
you know?
Rich, where'd you ever find the wrenches?
I ordered them from WhitworthWrenches.com.
Oh,
Yeah, so if you look at the wrench, it says 5/16 W. 5/16 W. And you see, this is basically, this is a
Hold on, they don't call them wrenches, they're called spanners.
This is a spanner. This happens to be made by the King Dick of England.
royalty wrench.
Go figure.
Yep. I didn't think of that. That was good, yeah.
This is 9/16.
Yeah?
9/16.
It looks like a 7/8 or 13/16.
Yeah, it's like 7/8.
Yeah, this really messed with your mind. But it's fun too.
Exactly. All right, I guess we're ready to throw some wrenches or spanners. Crash this party. Hey, look, they got extra parts over here now.
They're just quarter inch on a normal deal.
Or Whitworth.
Yes.
How do they stay together?
Magic.
That's right, you leave them on the side of the field and they rust fast and then you don't have to worry.
I was telling Ralph and the guys yesterday, out of all that stuff I got from Glenn's, there's a bunch of Model D parts in a bucket. I'm like, yeah, awesome. No, it's like a cylinder, like broken half.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, there's a wheel. I'm like, that's probably good. Nope, cracked right up the center. The big bevel gears broke. I'm like, that must have been Glenn's junk bucket. The only thing that's good is like the cleats off the wheel.
Oh, yeah.
You know. Yeah. Well, I wasn't really sure at first. I'm like, well, it could be either or, but I'm like, only enough for about one wheel. So.
They break sometimes.
Yeah. It's one of them deals I kept it. I'm like, oh, I can make a nice display. A little bit of Elmer's glue, put it together.
That was left over from that purple one.
Is that what that was, probably?
I don't know. Probably.
I don't know.
Put that together with all junk.
Any?
All junk parts.
Could be, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Piece put together. Leave the camera like this and I'll play it back later.
See how it's one's moving one way, one's moving the other?
I'll come around that side. We're talking about the simplicity of it.
This is going to be simple.
We're talking about the reverse for the Imperial Model D here.
I don't know, maybe
I think he dropped a clip or something. I thought I saw something fall. Maybe not. I'd say it was my eyes.
Putting my phone on it. Are you taping it as you speak?
Well, I'm trying to as much as I can. Oh, the adjustment for the clutches there.
I vote we just go till that's.
Oh, no, I can't see it.
No way to even put this together. Wherever.
Yeah.
You watching it, John, now?
Yeah,
Now you get to watch somebody lined up.
it's looking good inside.
Well, that just seems awful tight.
Still not all the way up.
That sounds like it's solid.
How the hell did they ever get it
It's
off?
not against the shoulder.
That's what I'm thinking.
come all the way in, bottom it out, huh?
I think.
Sounded like it was solid there in that last hit, but
All right, John.
oh, and if you guys go
That's
and
probably
see this-
better. Didn't have a lot to go.
One moment, please, while your party is reached. We got it together.
Do you think it's a good idea to see if it turns?
I agree with you completely. Says the mechanic. That's what I'm thinking. As hard as it- having to hammer it in there.
We're bottomed out now because the shaft's flush with the...
Good. I think you're good.
Oh, I know, I'm good.
No comment.
Judges?
No comment.
All right, do we want pictures or not?
You want to see if it
Just
turns?
trying to take some video. Putting it in. All right, it does turn after all that hammer action.
Perfect.
Good?
No binding.
Everybody happy?
Content.
Content? All right, cool. John, grease it up.
Got all the cases all put on there. They're putting the bolts in. Okay, now that doesn't go there, it goes over there. Must be a Whitworth bolt.
There's one standard bolt,
Oh, there's one SAE bolt.
and that one feels tight, but the standard does not go up in that.
All right, so just
Because it goes to there.
Well, it looks like we're getting pretty close, guys. I go over, take a little snack break, and come back, and we're putting oil in it. It's not running out the bottom, so we're doing great. Oh, geez, we're in the... Is it Imperial SAE? It's a Whitworth, isn't it?
Where was it? Where was it?
Rich's belly. He was high. He probably wants it back. Probably. He'll get it.
Making good progress.
Started to make sure that you got oil at some of those fittings. Loosen a little bit, make sure you're getting oil.
I was going to make sure I had oil in return, and then I was gonna be all right.
A lot of stuff in there that you can't replace.
Pop that whole cover off there.
I'd make sure you got oil at least down to the pump.
Just this little pump of mine. The brass shaving's gonna let it fly. Now we're getting into the important. Oh wait, look at that.
Get oil going around.
So which one's the supply?
I would imagine this one, right? Because then it goes in.
Yeah, it takes it.
Right. Yeah, because it comes down out of. There's two oil films.
Bigger one would be suction then, right? Because usually suction's bigger than pressure.
Yeah, I
small.
would think so, but it's so weird that the pressure side's got a valve on it.
Oh, that's bypass.
Checking for oil. Coming around you. Coming around you. No bueno, huh?
Good.
First of all, it's great that we were able to make it here this year. The weather forecast worked in our favor on both ends. There's not a blizzard on our end, there's not a blizzard on your end. And we've always been looking forward to this. Ever since we came to the first mowing in 2016, the interest and, if you want to call it, passion that we've had for the Gravely brand, the old Gravely brand, has increased dramatically. This year, with the key being the Imperial, and its coming of age around here a little bit, has brought our interest even that much more, because if we are able to, if we're able to get one, it'll probably give us the breadth of the whole line that was Gravely on the Model D. From we have a water-cooled one all the way through, then we'd have through the Imperial, and so we're trying to build the Gravely tractor in our museum, tractor factory in our museum. After the Gravely D is done, we're trying to work into doing how many of the unique kind of L's are there out there. So along with that, we've also found out that history of the product is, I'll say, scattered. Everybody's got a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And what we're trying to do now is, if we can, whoever, I'll give out my email address anytime anybody wants it, write down what you know. You don't have to be a Shakespeare, for God's sakes, we don't care about that. We want to know what you have as far as a contribution to that history. And compiling it together, send back what we can, our best effort of that compiling to each one of you that contributed. You edit what you think you see out of it. I'd like to go and give it back to John Danforth afterwards. And in a series of articles with inside of the Gazette, you can see the history of the D as we all know it to be. And that's the aim of where I'm at right now with this part of my contribution into the museum. A part of being the dumb shit that's still there after 17 years. So, again, if anybody wants, I'll give out my email address and let's get the ball rolling. Does anybody have any questions in this regard? Okay, thank you very much. And again, we're having a blast here. Getting back to know people, getting back to rejuvenate friendships that we've had, and starting to put faces to phone calls and voices and all that kind of stuff, which is part of the deal. We always had a history of the Aaron's Company, right? We didn't have a history of the product of the Gravely Company. We did to a certain degree, but in the book that we have now, that's the Gravely History book, it was basically the leaders from Ben all the way down to where Aaron's Company purchased the company itself. And we had a brilliant knight that worked for him. Mr. Yankee, some might say Yankee, no, it's Yankee, is from Brilliant originally. His dad was the custodian at the high school, lived right across the street, and that's the school that I went to, and I saw Pops Yankee every single day in the hall. And that's a part of my history that I got attached to you guys, and I didn't even know it. So, it's all pretty cool.
I was up at the factory one time and I saw your oldies downstairs. I don't know if it was a bomb shelter or where, but it was a basement.
Oh, someone took you in the basement.
And
Interesting.
they had many pieces of Gravely and Aaron's spaced about 1 inch apart. I can't believe how much work they have done in coming up with a current Gravely Aaron's museum. They've truly done a beautiful job.
Thank you, John.
And,
Appreciate it.
And I've seen some equipment that was in the rough. And where is he?
Right here. That guy?
That guy.
The guy keeps hiding in the back.
It's hard to do.
He's
Consider.
done phenomenal work in refurbishing equipment that is there. And anybody that's here that has a chance to go to that museum, I think you will really be amazed. So they are working their butts off.
As you all know, this kind of stuff takes time. And the time for Aaron's with Gravely is 1984. And we do okay with that, but from 1922 to 1984 is a long time. And that kind of building up that area is very, very difficult. And that's why today we're asking, we want to make it a little easier down the road, because that's what history is in a museum. It's telling the story. And that's what, we have a brand new museum manager. She's a gearhead. She drives Harley Davidsons. So the girl can't be all bad. She's also got a lot of broken legs, she says, because of it. And she knows the story. It has to be told in the right way, so that when people come here, they actually learn something. They just don't look at a machine and walk away. They actually learn something from it. And we archive it. I told them the other day, we have 6 very, very, very expensive fireproof vaults. And they're full. And we're going to get another one. And that one's probably going to have a lot more Gravely in it than anything else. So the archive and legacy of what you guys have all tried to keep alive is going to be with us. And it's going to be sure. And if you have a question, call up. We'll have somebody probably go to the archive and look it up for you and probably give you an answer. At least we hope we can. So we can't tell you what nut and bolt might have been changed yesterday because Bill was drunk the night before, put a 5/8 in place of a 1/2 inch, or whatever the case may be. But you get the gist of what we're kind of looking with regards to history. Like, why did they change from cleats to something else? That's a model change, all things considered. And just because somebody carved it on the wooden wall in the shop, and the next day they used it for burning wood in the doggone fire because it was winter, well, guess what? That history's out the window, you know? So, and that's what you live with. You know, that's what you live with a company that evolved from basically nothing, with the grace of Ben. So, again, thanks for being here. It is a hoot for both myself and Dan, in spite of the fact he doesn't know to drive with the shit.
There is a guest book. Please make sure you sign a guest book, or our editor, who didn't bother to take the time to get here, will get them. So please take time. So Bob, without further ado, you have earned the first ceremonial first poll.
Now you're wishing you would have made a speech, huh?